Good morning. This is the Fantasy Draft DFS first take. What I'm doing here today is looking at the pitching and hitting matchups for the first time and giving my gut instinct results and thoughts. We're switching over to fantasy today, or fantasy draft today, excuse me. It used to be DraftKings. It's a very similar platform. We're using a $100,000 salary cap. It's $50,000 on DraftKings. The other big difference, scoring's very similar, but instead of drafting specific positions, we're drafting 3 infielders, 3 outfielders, 2 utility fielders. So that does offer up some changes, and you don't have to worry about teams that have 2 first basemen, for example, where you want to use both. Last year, that was Carlos Santana and Edwin Encarnacion pretty frequently. You had to choose one or the other. Not an issue on this site. And you can use 5 outfielders, 5 infielders, or mix and match as desired. All right, so let's start with pitchers. It's always a good place to get a sense of who's good, who's not. On the top end of the scale, you got Jake Arrieta against the Marlins. I think that's fine. If we scroll down, you see Dan Straley here making his return. It's a pretty good price. You can compare it to DraftKings, what we've been using all year. You can consider this 2 times what you'd see on DraftKings, so 6,400 here. I think that's fine for Straley's debut. It's a high risk, high reward type of play. You're basically saying to all these people who start Arrieta, it's going to be a lot of people too. You're basically saying, hey, I think this counterplay could work out just fine, and it's a good gamble for a GPP. I wouldn't do it in a cash game. Charlie Morton ranked second. Not touching that. Love Charlie Morton. I think I've, if not the first on his bandwagon, one of the first. Just not touching anyone against the Yankees. Chris Sale, maybe, Max Scherzer. The list is pretty short. And for what would be in our previous format, 10,300, that's pretty pricey against a team like the Yankees. That doesn't mean you should use Sonny Gray. He's priced pretty well. It's a competitive price, and I think you can push him into a lineup because of that. But I don't want to touch the Astros either. I'm going to skip a couple of these higher end price names. Eduardo Rodriguez, near the top of the list for me, if not the top of the list. He's up against Jason Hamill, but more importantly, he's against the Royals, and he's hosting them at home. The Royals are just not good. A few of their better hitters are left-handed, which Rodriguez obviously is left-handed. Fenway's actually tough on lefty power too, so you're not going to see too much power potential out of Mike Moustakas or Lucas Duda today. The upshot of that is Erod also has about a strikeout per inning. You can count on that. He gets there. In fact, I think I have him. Yes, I already have his player page pulled up. And look at this nice swinging strike rate, 14.3%. Not sure that he's going to maintain that, but for the time being, it shows that the strikeout rate is real, and he's been good in the past too. So again, that's a top play for me, even if he was priced in the 20,000 range. So seeing him this cheap, the only downside is I think everyone can make this call. Guys that I'm not touching, John Lester and where is he? Kyle Freeland. The wind is blowing out at Wrigley today, 15 miles per hour, dead center. Don't touch it. This Jameson Taillon and Tanner Roark game. Now that one's fine. Either side of it, they're priced well. It's a good dice roll, kind of clean mid-value type plays. Nationals lineup obviously a little banged up. The Pittsburgh lineup just kind of mid-talent, mid-core performer types. So either side of this could come out looking shiny. Zach Greinke's fine. He's hosting the Dodgers. I would like Ross Stripling today as a mega value. He's only 8,000. The downside, though, is that he probably isn't stretched out enough to throw 5 innings. And if he does, he's just getting to 5 innings. That's not going to give him much of a chance for a win against Greinke. Jeff Samardzija, that's an easy play against Eric Lauer. Should come out just fine again. That seems like a win to me, but again, can't bank anything with the Giants, and should be a low-scoring game. Beyond that, there aren't too many guys I'd reach for outside of those I've named. I guess Aaron Sanchez. That's probably the one guy I'd look to as a possible upside bargain. Just want to look at these hitters in batch. Probably not going to use Didi Gregorius against Morton. As much as I like the Yankees, I'm not keen on picking the exact ones who are going to do the damage against Morton. I don't think it's going to be a super high-scoring game for them. Just somebody's going to do some damage. Definitely can use Red Sox against Jason Hamill. That makes a lot of sense. JD Martinez is a clear, obvious top choice of the day. Mookie Betts is banged up. He's got a little hamstring injury. Probably won't be in the lineup, I'm guessing. But any other Red Sox you want to run with Martinez makes perfect sense to me. Mentioned that Wrigley game with the wind blowing out. Feel free to stack Rockies. Definitely stack Cubs. There's a ton of guys you can use that should really benefit from this matchup. I want to see what Hap costs here. So Ian Happ's actually really cheap. Probably one of the top plays today. I know he's got a 40-something% strikeout rate, but he's a hard fly ball contact guy. And with the wind doing what it's doing, just needs to put one up in that jet stream to return value on that price. And seeing his way to a multi-homer game really makes sense to me. It's not a stretch by any means. Let's see who else we want to target. We got a Great American Ballpark game. The Reds against Yuli Shashin. Joey Votto, clear top pick. He's back on track. He slumped early, but he seems to be hitting just fine now. Everything's reverted to what you'd expect from him. Eric Thames, for whatever reason, is priced highly despite being on the DL. Obviously not going to be using Thames, but you can use Brewers. And there's one in particular I want to see for his potential value price. Yeah, so Jesus Aguilar, priced at $5,500. That's nothing. And she'll probably bat in the middle of the lineup somewhere. Crushes bad lefties. Brandon Finnegan's a bad lefty. I think that's a really obvious play. And let's see who else from that stack. So the other guys you'd be looking at, maybe not Travis Shaw. He's kind of like a contrarian pick because the lefty on lefty. Same with Yelich. And in this case, I'm more inclined to go with Yelich than Shaw. Ryan Braun should be uber popular. Lorenzo Cain should be popular. Domingo Santana maybe. Not as keen on that, but the value is really good here. And then going down, digging deeper, I'm not seeing as much that I like. You can use one of their catchers if you want to. Let's see. Any other games that really stand out? Can try some Phillies against Dan Straley. He's a fly ball pitcher. It's a good day for Cesar Hernandez. Good day for Odubel Herrera. Probably steering clear of more of the fly ball types. Altair kind of leans that direction. Michael Franco, a little bit fly ball-y. For the most part, these are kind of neutral type hitters. They don't really lean ground or fly too much, so they could do okay against Straley, especially if he's rusty. Hoskins is the lone fly ball hitter, and he's also a guy who I kind of expect to transcend that issue of fly ball, ground ball splits. Any other stacks I'd really look at? Can think about the Blue Jays. I like the matchup for Curtis Granderson to Oscar Hernandez, Yangervis Solarte, Justin Smoke. That's a viable stack. It's not going to be too popular in my opinion. Target Field's not super friendly to power, and Lance Lynn is inconsistent. He has his good days and his bad days. I think that's my first take. Yeah, I don't see anything else that's really jumping off the page. I'll have more details and a little deeper analysis on today's daily grind, where you'll also find this first take. Cheers, folks.